Whatever is happening within Area 51, the government is committed to keeping it secret.
They're authorized to shoot you. If they did, there isn't a law enforcement agency in the world that could go retrieve your body if you were in Area 51. You have no access to get in there.
The propulsion system is really an amazing...
But in 1989, a 30-year-old resident of Las Vegas named Bob Lazar claims to have pierced the veil of secrecy surrounding these flights.
If they were United States craft, we wouldn't be going backward trying to find out how they were built if we had built them. Second of all...
His story leads thousands of people to believe that something otherworldly is happening in the Nevada desert.
When Bob Lazar emerged in public with his claims to have worked on reverse-engineered flying saucers, it began to draw UFO fans from around the world.
Oh, yeah.
It's floating.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it's floating, but it's changing shape.
And his legend became critical to the whole emerging folklore of Area 51.
To this day, Lazar stands by his story.
I am convinced this was an extraterrestrial craft. I verified how the equipment in it worked, and it was a technology that doesn't exist even today.
Spring 1989, Bob Lazar meets with George Knapp, a reporter for Las Vegas TV station KLAS. Lazar claims to have secrets he can no longer hold.
This was really taking a toll on me. I mean, I was exhausted.
He tells Knapp that he was hired by the federal government to work on an alien spacecraft at Area 51.
Great.
Probably would have gone to about 60.
And he insists that the authorities will do anything to stop him from revealing what he knows.
There was a guy in the car with a gun. He shot at me and went off, and I just thought it was some government guy trying to wipe me out.
Lazar tells the reporter he wants to protect himself from reprisals by going public with his amazing story. Nevertheless, he appears in silhouette to conceal his identity.
So what you're saying is that we can produce...
The first interview was really just to state what had happened, what was going on, and in case I suddenly disappeared, all it would do was prove that what I was saying was true.
A very short amount of time, and I guarantee you, gentlemen, that...
Lazar's story begins in 1988, when, he says, his background in physics and electronics lands him a job interview with top government contractor Edgerton, Gurmishausen and Greer, or EG&G.
I was told there was an opening available for a new exotic field propulsion system, that I would be working in a remote area. It all sounded great to me. It's exactly what I wanted to get into.
In December 1988, he is hired. On his first day of work, Lazar claims to have met a man named Dennis Mariani at the EG&G Special Projects Office at McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas.
Dennis Mariani is kind of a military-looking guy. It always looks you in the eye and very hard-looking. I don't think the guy ever smiled.
Mariani escorts Lazar aboard a private plane that flies them 100 miles north to an isolated military base in the Nevada desert, Area 51. Immediately after landing, Mariani subjects Lazar to a rigorous security briefing and has him sign a secrecy agreement.
You basically signed away a lot of your rights. I believe it was called the 10-10 agreement. It was a $10,000 fine, 10-year prison sentence, for divulging any of the information presented to you.
According to Lazar, he agrees to conditions he will later regret. He even gives up his right to a trial if he ever reveals anything about working at Area 51. After Lazar signs the document, he and Mariani board a bus with blacked-out windows.
The bus leaves Area 51 and drives, I'm guessing, 10 to 15 miles south on a dirt road. It was kind of exciting, because I thought, boy, if it's we're leaving Area 51 in a bus with windows that I can't look out of. This must be really secret, and so I was fascinated.
The bus finally stops at an installation called S4. Mariani explains that the site is a series of hidden hangars built into the landscape.
It's extremely well camouflaged.
Years later, Lazar will have a graphic artist create detailed renderings based on his own drawings of what he claims he saw at S4.
There are hangar doors that are sand textured, and standing back maybe 300 or 400 feet, you really can't see them at all. It pretty much just looks like a continuation of the mountain.
Mariani leads Lazar inside the tightly guarded facility.
It was very much an oppressive military atmosphere. There was always somebody there on top of you, keeping an eye on you. They were virtually robots. They had no emotions. Not to imply that they were robots, but they acted like robots.
Lazar says he is issued a security badge that authorizes his clearance through the, quote, U.S. Department of Naval Intelligence. Mariani then leads him to a secure briefing room. On the desk is a stack of blue folders.
This is everything you'll need to know to begin working on it until I can...
Lazar is allowed to review these files, alone.
Looking through some of the information, it gave direct references to a flying saucer, to an extraterrestrial vehicle. I pretty much discounted that and just kept going on. And I thought, well, boy, this must be part of some security measure. It could be a part of some big psychological test of some sort. So I glanced through everything and digested what I could.
When Mariani takes him back to the hangar, Lazar claims he is confronted with an incredible sight.
We walked into a hangar which was extremely large, and it had an absolute classic flying saucer in there. So like something out of a cartoon or a science fiction movie. It was sitting on its belly on the ground. And I went up and raised my hand to touch the metal on the craft and immediately got disciplined for that.
Lazar assumes that the vehicle is an experimental aircraft designed to resemble something from outer space.
Well, it's got a flying saucer shape. This explains why so many people see flying saucers, because we're trying to make an aircraft that way. So still nothing really hit my mind as far as being alien or anything along those lines.
But Lazar says he revises that assumption when his job duties are explained to him.
The basic aim of what we're doing here is to see if we can duplicate any of this material with substances found on Earth. Well, what do you mean with substances found on Earth? And then it began to validate some of what I had read, that this was in fact an alien craft.
As he examines the saucer, Lazar becomes convinced that it is, in fact, of extraterrestrial origin.
It was obviously made for something smaller. Ideally, about half the height of a human would have no problem walking around in there. Everything is a rounded, curved radius to it. It looks like the entire thing was an injection mold, like made out of plastic or wax.
He says he is then told that the vehicle's propulsion system allows the pilot to traverse great distances instantaneously by manipulating time and space.
If you have a machine that can create gravity, that makes force fields a reality, that makes time travel possible, all the stuff you read about in science fiction becomes possible if you can manipulate gravity.
Lazar is overwhelmed by the possibilities. Until now, he had considered the whole idea of flying saucers to be a fantasy.
It actually left me pretty much confused and led to a lot of sleepless nights for a long time. Everything you didn't believe is true.